Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional, the variety show that revolves around one central theme: stories and the people that tell them. If you haven't done so already, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. And hey, if you're feeling up for it, leave a comment down below, let us know you subscribed, and we will give you a shout out. Hello and welcome to this episode of Story Chat. We have someone all the way from, is it La La Land? Is that what we call it?
I guess so.
How are you, Jillian?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah,
Very
going
good.
good. Going good
Very
for
good.
a Saturday morning or a Friday night over there, I guess it is.
It's it's like Friday. It's Friday night-ish. It's 4 p.m. on Friday.
Oh, okay, excellent.
So this is when Ryan gives out the lotto numbers for tomorrow.
Get your pen and paper ready.
Yes, let me get that, please.
We've spoken to so many people around the world. We have something against interviewing Australians. We don't like ourselves. So pretty much all of our interviews, bar one, has been with lovely people like yourself from the US or from the UK or you name it. We've done it. Ireland, England, yeah, everywhere.
Wow, you guys are international men.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, but don't ask us to interview an Australian because we're absolutely rubbish.
All right, for those that don't know, Jillian is a director, producer, actress, podcaster, lover of knitting. Is there anything else I'm missing, Jillian?
Well, I mean, I'm also in college right now. I'm finally finishing my degree, so there's that, and I'm sure there's more, but that's probably enough.
What are you studying in college?
I am currently halfway through my bachelor's for political science.
Oh, wow.
And I have a minor in sociology, and it's been really fun. I never got to really go to college and have like that experience because I've been an actress my entire life. And I tried to go to college when I was like 15 because I had graduated out of high school, because if you're not in high school as a teen actor, then they don't have to hire a set teacher and it's cheaper for the production. So it works to your advantage essentially to graduate early. So I tried to go when I was 15, and then like I think I went for like a year, and then I booked stuff and I was trying to juggle it. And that was too back when like online school was crap, like not good at all. But I finally found a program that like works for me. So during the pandemic, I was like, maybe I should just go back to school. I don't have anything to do. I can't be on set. Let's just do something else. So that's where I am.
Excellent. Yeah, we're finding a lot of people are getting a lot of stuff done during the pandemic. So I mean, we've interviewed some people who have written two books and published books in for the pandemic. So at least people are making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of friends pick up like new hobbies. I learned to make like cake, like layered, tiered cakes over the pandemic because I was so bored. Yeah. I'm so used to being around people 24/7 and like on my feet constantly. Mm-hmm. So I was so, I'm grateful, obviously, that I was bored. That's good. Because it meant that I was following the guidelines and not getting sick. However, I was just locked in the house, and I was like, okay, school and cake. I guess this is life now, and that'll be fine.
They go well.
We'll live with it.
Tell you that.
Well, what do you say we break into these icebreakers, Ryan? You want to take the first one?
You want me to take the first one? Okay. If you could get rid of one thing in this entire world, what would it be?
I feel like this is such a loaded question with everything going on in the world right now, so I'm not going to say what I want to say.
That's all right.
But I think the second thing is spiders for sure. I can't stand spiders, you guys. I just can't do it.
You and me,
there's too many legs.
Good friends. I have massive arachnophobia.
Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. It's just there's too many legs, too many eyes. They have too many of all the body parts. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I can't stand them. I'm absolutely scared of them. I will run, and I'm a big boy. Like I'm a big boy. I'm 6'2", about 140 kilos. I will run like a girl. But I will run. I will scream, and my housemate has to kill them. And she's tougher than I am, and she's like yeah. I can't stand it.
I feel you. I feel you. I can't do it. I run as well. My ex actually, when we used to live together at one point in my life, and he was also afraid of spiders, which I don't recommend dating someone who's also afraid of spiders. It doesn't work. Like, who's gonna get it then? Because then you're both just staring each other down like, you're gonna do this? I'm not doing that. You need to do it. I can't do this.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I support your answer. You probably wouldn't want to visit Jamie then. He lives in the bushland, and I check my car thoroughly every time I leave his house, especially at night. Because he's got spiders and snakes and all those kind of crazy things.
I just had to get rid of one yesterday.
Oh my god!
And it was
Don't
like,
tell me that.
so
I'll
sorry.
never come back to your
it was
house,
like the size of my hand.
I'm never coming back to this house, ever.
And then all I do
Why are they that big?
Because it's Australia.
It's Australia. And
we like to it's like, you're saying how in the US you got everything bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything, all the things that can kill you animal-wise are bigger in Australia.
No. See, I think if I visit, I'm just gonna have to stay like in Sydney.
Yeah,
by the Opera House. I am not going anywhere else.
Yeah, look, you're more likely to see a shark if you stay near the Opera House because they swim around.
I'm fine with that. That's cool. We're cool. I'm cool with the sharks. They have their land. I have mine. We're good.
Like last year, I think it was last year, maybe a year or two ago, we're sitting down at dinner. We look out in the garden, and this kookaburra lands in the garden, picks up a snake that is 4 times its body length and flies off with it.
No. What?
And you think we make that like that? That's some of the stories you probably hear about Australia. You're like, oh, they're just making that up. No,
that happened.
Okay, well then I have to ask you guys, because there is that like famous like meme that goes around of like the flying spiders that are like landing in somewhere in Australia. Is that real? Like why did that happen?
Yeah, there's the spider, I think
but the flood thing?
There's a spider called the bird-eating spider that jumps really high. So it could be that.
No, but I remember when the last major flood, like the big one, it caused a whole lot of spiders just to go up someone's house, and there was like thousands of them, but they were tiny.
Oh God, I saw that, and that would make me just crawl up into a little ball in my bathtub.
We're not doing much for Australian tourism at the moment, Jamie. So
well, it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard when our politicians don't let anyone in anyway. So
true. It's not like we could go over there.
Exactly.
Like, come here. You may not be able to leave.
Yeah, true.
Come here and experience the prison colony firsthand.
Oh my God.
Oh man. All right, Jamie, do you want to take the next one?
All right. Well, I'm hoping your visiting Australia isn't on your bucket list, but tell us something that's on your bucket list.
Not Australia, but I do desperately want to visit Italy. I've been taking the Duolingo like Italian thing. My friend Danielle's doing it too, so we're like getting ready. But I just, wine, pizza, pasta, history. What else do you need? It's just perfect.
There's so many. What I would like to go to Italy as well. But I would like to visit some of the old school towns, like the everyone goes over to everyone's house every Sunday night, and it's that history. Obviously, as well as places like Rome, you got the Colosseum and all that.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to do a proper tour and go to like some of those small villages as well, I think.
Oh yeah, that would be so cool. And like all the vineyards and everything that's out there. I just think that like, oh man, Italy would be so nice.
I know, it's
I
such
would
a
love to
deep
go there.
moment, isn't it?
I also think that like it got kind of ingrained in my brain as a kid because of like the Lizzie McGuire movie. And I thought, if I go to Italy, I'm going to fall in love with a pop star and then realize that he's bad and then accidentally find my doppelganger. So
that could,
it's
a possibility. It can still happen.
I think it can.
Jamie, you haven't seen the Lizzie McGuire movie?
No, can't say I have.
You're missing out, man. You're missing out.
I know of it. I know of it.
Yeah.
It's a good one, guys. I highly recommend.
I'll put it on my list.
I actually have seen it, Jamie. It's on our Disney Plus. You can check it out.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, this one is one that I like to take. I always like to ask this question because this is how we're going to judge you, Jillian. We're not judgmental people, but the answer to this question will result in how well this interview goes.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
If you're ready.
Okay, yeah.
Tell us what is the greatest sitcom ever made? And you can also part to it with your favorite.
Oh my God. This is the worst. Okay, so I have like a list of like my top 10s of like different genres and different things.
Yep.
And I mean, I think there's like 3 or 4 that I watched religiously, sitcoms that are like consistently on, right? It's Friends, New Girl, Parks and Rec, and The Office.
Okay, well you've won me over, so I'm fine.
So those are the 4 that I have on rotation. But if I think of which one is probably the best out of them, while my heart wants to say Friends because it's like the first one and the OG and everything. Yep. I think that like Parks and Rec was really probably the best one, just like all the way through. The last season went a little haywire, but like it was still good. Whereas like the last season of The Office, everyone was just like, can this just end? Why are we talking to the camera people now? I don't get this. The last season of Friends, while I loved it and I loved the ending with like Ross and Rachel, it's just like season. I felt like Parks and Rec was really the only one that was like, okay, I think this is our time and I think we're going to do this on a good note and see you later.
And speaking of Parks and Rec, then who was your favorite character?
Oh, well, gosh.
Jamie have our favorite character and we know who that is, but we're waiting.
Yeah. I mean, I freaking love Chris. I think he's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm also just a big Rob Lowe fan, big West Wing person. So but I think Chris is so funny. I mean, the dude is like constantly happy. The one episode where he gets the flu and he thinks he's gonna die is quite honestly the funniest thing in the world to me. But I've also been rewatching Community lately, and I just watched that.
Yes.
I just watched the paintball episode, and I was like, "Oh God, this is such a good episode of television."
I love the way that they just take. It's just like it's a small thing of a paintball fight, and it just turns into an all-out
a war.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a full-on war. And that show too. I mean, that's a really great sitcom. They really like found themselves, I think, in season 2, where they were like, oh, so the weirder we are and the more that Abed points out how ridiculous this is, the better it is. Got it.
That's right. And did you agree that it sort of dropped off in the later seasons as well? Or?
I haven't watched it all the way through in a minute, so I'm trying to remember what the last seasons were. I mean, I think the best episode from that show was the one with the pizza at the apartment with like it keeps changing.
Yeah, the timelines. Yeah.
I loved that episode. I thought that was great.
No, look, we wouldn't really judge you on what you think the sitcom is, but you've answered quite well. That was all of those are my favorites. I grew up on Friends. The Office, I mean, I love BBC stuff as well. So I like the Ricky Gervais Office and the Steve Carell Office.
Yeah. And they're so different. Like it's just completely different shows.
100%. No, so you've done very well.
But I will say I want to give 2 shout outs to 2 other sitcoms. One is Cheers, because Cheers, I like grew up. That was my show and I would watch like on like the television when I was sick and at home. When I was a kid, because it was just on reruns. And the other one is the IT Crowd, because
yes, that's my favorite show of all time.
It's like so underrated and people need to know about it. So 100%, watch that, please.
IT Crowd, I watch at least once a year.
It's so funny.
I mean, I went to uni for IT, so I can sort of understand everything, and I feel like it's made for people like me. Who just I never actually got to work in IT, even though I spent 4 years studying IT. But in Australia, especially in Sydney, you have to work in the city in order to do IT. And I don't like the city at all. I'm suburbs. I'm happy in the suburbs. So, but yeah, no, fantastic answers. Thanks for that, Jillian.
All right. Serious business now. Do you have a zombie apocalypse plan?
God, do I have a zombie apocalypse plan? I wish. Listen, California, Los Angeles, I feel like is probably the worst place to live, right? We don't have bunkers. We don't have basements. There is nowhere for us to, get underground. So
Yes.
I think that's issue number one here. But I think like the smartest thing would be to just probably get on like the highest mountain closest to me and figure it out.
So
Hmm?
then you have to deal with spiders and stuff.
Yeah, there is that. There's that. See, I can't get away from it. Yeah, I feel like I would have to like find somebody that I know who lives, I don't know, like on a mountain in the hills somewhere and just go there and bunker down, because I feel like if you stay, in the city, you're screwed.
Yep, 100%.
But you can't go underground at all because we just don't have that here because of the earthquakes. But then also if you go to the hills, you might get screwed over during fire season. So I think essentially if there was a zombie apocalypse, LA would just go under and that would be it. We'd all be zombies.
Well, let's be honest. If it's going to start, it's probably going to start in California.
100%. Yeah, it will start in the city, and we will all be taken out.
let's
Did we not see Zombieland? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay, well, the last of our icebreaker questions before we get into your amazing career is: you've just received a call from Elon Musk. He says, "Hello, Jillian. I've just built an electric time machine, and I'd like you to test drive it. What do you do, and where do you go?"
Okay, so there's two parts to this, because I need to know how quickly can I get out of this situation. Like if I go somewhere and I'm like, oh, this is real bad, never mind, JK, I need to leave, like can I just go back quickly?
I'm going to allow that. I'll allow that.
Okay.
There's a little button on he gives you a watch as well that links you to the machine, so that if you're out exploring and something happens, you can push the watch, put you in the machine and send you back.
Great. I'm gonna Buzz Lightyear this then, and I'm gonna go see freaking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you freaking see the dinosaurs? I want Jurassic in real life, but obviously not in real life because we would be killed. So yeah, I'd like to go see a brontosaurus and a long neck and all the things and say hi and then get the hell out of there before they could eat me.
And then would you then take the machine back to when Jurassic Park was being made and tell Steven Spielberg?
Don't do this. Yeah, exactly. By the way, I am an expert in dinosaurs now, and if you'd like to pay me $2 million, I will tell you everything I know.
And there you go. That's a solid plan. Not only do you get to see what you want to see, but make a bit of coin out of it too.
Hey, there we go. It's a good one. I like it.
I like that. Well done.
All right. Icebreaker's done. Let's move into the nitty gritty. Now I actually did a little bit of research, and I heard that you started acting about 7 when you were approached by a talent agent. Now the question I have is, what was that one woman show?
So it was I started singing when I was I don't know, like 4, just in front of the TV watching Disney movies, and my parents were like, wait a second, she can like sing a little bit, she knows how to hold a tune, interesting. So got me into singing classes, and my singing teacher and my mom came up with like this one woman show for me to do. It was called A Dream Is a Wish. It was like 10 songs, just me on a stage, and then I had like this room divider that my parents built where I'd go behind and like do a quick change so I could get back out there and sing Shania Twain or whatever the heck it was. So I did that, and then a talent scout from a local agency up in Portland, Oregon saw me at one of the county fairs I was performing at, and they were like, have you considered acting? And I was like, I don't know what that is. I am 6 years old. Excuse me.
You just see, I'll just have to check my day planner.
Yeah, let me look at my schedule for you really quick. So I took a class up there, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I like this. And I kind of liked it more than singing, even though I loved singing. I kind of was like, oh, this but I could do like both things here. Like I can act and then sing if I need to, which is kind of nice. And so when I was about 7, I think I was 7 and I was turning 8. We went to New York for this big like talent competition thing that they used to have for kids out here. And I got an agent and a manager for LA. And, you know, the next pilot season went down to LA, and I didn't book a pilot, but I booked a play. And my mom was just like, well, honey, I guess we're moving. And so my mom and dad packed out their house, and we moved down here, which is pretty wild. They were sick of the rain anyway, I think.
Yeah.
They'd lived up in Portland their whole lives, so they were over it. But yeah, that was the start. The one woman show is called A Dream's a Wish.
Oh wow.
Are you going to do a sequel to that?
No, I have like a running joke right now within my career where I only seem to book singing parts that are bad singers. So it's like people who cannot hold a tune, and I'm just like, I'm never gonna be redeemed, but that's okay. It's okay.
Look, I would never say never. If we ever become famous, we will write a movie where you can be the, you know, the lead singer of the most successful band of the world, and it will make millions.
Yes, give me my Josie and the Pussycats moment. I need it.
I'm a big musical guy. I love. I was very lucky that I had my grandmother used to take me to all the musicals. So I've been a Phantom of the Opera, Boy from Oz, Jersey Boy is my all-time favorite. So yeah, I'm with you there. Like I would, yeah. I'm a singer too. We both are technically, but not that kind of music, more punk rock. But yeah,
fun.
I'm with you there. I was sitting in front of the TV singing along to The Lion King and all that kind of stuff. It's just,
and that was just last week.
Happened. We will. I'll tell you that. But okay, so what happened? So you moved to LA. You got signed up. You got a manager, the agent. What happened then? So what were some of the early projects that you were involved in?
Well, I booked that play at the Glendale Center Theater, and then for about 5 years, I was working pretty consistently on stage. So I was doing everything from Christmas Carol to Meet Me in St. Louis to Music Man, Annie Get Your Gun, anything that had a child in it. I even did Midsummer Night's Dream as a fairy. So I was working that all the time. And then, oh gosh, I think I booked like my first national commercial when I was 8, and it was Domino's.
Okay. Yep.
Which it was fantastic because it was one of those commercials that like literally took like 2 hours to film, because it was just me sitting in front of a TV and then running to get the door. And they turned it into like 13 commercials internationally.
Oh wow.
It goes back to when like commercials actually could pay your bills. Because it's not that way anymore. But so that was pretty dope. And then I got cast in the OG Spider-Man with Toby and Kirsten.
Behind Jamie.
Yes, I see that. Which was amazing. And that was my first like time working on a backlot and working with you know, a huge studio. I was only 8, so we filmed that at Sony, and it was a pretty remarkable experience. Just even being on that tram that we were all in at the end of the film, where it's just like, you know, choose between saving the kids or MJ. And they had this on, like, the actual tram was there obviously, and they had it on this big, I don't even know what to call it, it was just like a big machine, and it really was rocking us. So all of that was like real. But it was so fun. You know, we had, I think the first time we filmed was like a week or something like that. And then we went back and did reshoots. But it was a blast. So that was like my first time experiencing what a big set is like. So that was cool. And Kirsten, I still remember, she has always been my favorite person since like filming that. She had literally taken all of the kids under her wings, mostly because obviously she grew up as a child actor as well. And She like painted my nails in her trailer, me and like 3 of the other girls. Like it was just,
Wow.
it felt like a really, great set to be on as like your first big thing. It felt very homey, very welcoming.
Oh, that would have been lovely. Because I remember her from Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So she would have obviously known what you guys were going through and how eye-opening it must have been, and how exciting and probably would might have been a little bit overwhelming for you guys too. Like being the first time you've been in a massive studio set.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I remember is just seeing how big the tram was and how like far off the ground it was, and thinking, we're gonna go in there, what? But I also remember like Sam Raimi being on like the megaphone, and I'm not even knowing where he was, just like hearing him on the megaphone like telling us what to do, and I was just like, where is this man? Like very Wizard of Oz style. I don't even know where he is. But yeah, it was a great set. So yeah, did that, and then I did a lot of commercials and ended up on a soap opera for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
year and a half. And then just kept working, kept doing the thing.
And that was Days of Our Lives, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Days of Our Lives.
How much of a difference was that working on something like Days of Our Lives and working on something like Spider-Man or a commercial like that?
Well, Days of Our Lives was interesting. I actually had gotten the role mostly because I was in theater, and they need theater actors because you really only get one take. Things go so quickly. You're shooting at least one script a day, which is 50 some pages.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have to be able to go fast. You have to memorize fast. You have to do one take. You have to be on your toes constantly. So they usually hire theater actors. So somebody who worked at Glendale Center Theater knew the casting director and was like, oh, I heard you're casting this. Can this girl audition? Like she's always acting over here. And that's how I got it. But it's much different. It's such a small set comparatively. And they have the build outs of the different houses and the rooms and whatnot, and they just switch it according to what's in those episodes. So it's small stages, small crew. Each cast member has their own dressing room within the studio, so it's not like you're in a trailer like you are in normal films and whatnot. You have like an actual dressing room, which is strange. But yeah, it's much more of like a small family, like tight-knit group.
Oh, wow.
The people who work on soap operas, especially the crew, like you don't you're there for years. That's your job now. And it's great for some people, because for some people that's it's a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. It's easy peasy. You go in, you know what you're doing. It's not like there's any like, oh, we got to film a car crash today and it'll be crazy and there has to be explosions. Like, no, that doesn't happen on soap operas. So it's good for those people who want to be in the creative field still, but like need the stability or raising a family. So it's a great experience, I think, for all actors. I think everybody should do a couple episodes of a soap opera just to get like on your feet and get that training so that you really get it instilled in your head. Like once you're on set, you can't screw up.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of our Chris Hemsworth started on a soap opera called Home and Away down here. A lot of our successes from Australia all started. We have our own versions of Days of Our Lives and Bold and Beautiful and stuff like that. And they all seem to do a year or so on that and then go and become superheroes. So
well, yeah, it's great training for actors because it really does, it makes you become super aware of all of your choices and everything that you need to do, because I think it can be easy to not put in the time, especially if you're been on something for a while. But with a soap opera, like you are 100% forced to be on your toes. And now they're doing 2 or 3 episodes a day on some of the series. So I don't even know how they're doing it. I'm like, that's insane to me. Like, are you just spitballing at this point? Because that's what I'd be doing.
So,
No way.
What do you prefer, working in film or working in television?
I love films personally. It's nice to be able to have that like 3 or 4 months together and then it's kind of done. Or with independent films it's like 3 weeks. It's super short. But yeah, I've always been a fan, and I think I've always career wise I've been cast in a lot more films than I have television, so that must say something about who I am as an actor or something. I don't know, something beyond me that they see that I don't know. But yeah, I've always dreamed of being like a series regular on a television series that like will last 5 seasons, just to see what that's like. But I know too, people like you get bored because you're doing the same thing every day and you're being the same character. And I can imagine that, if you're on a series for 6-7 years, like it gets tiring. Like you want to do something different.
Yeah.
I've only ever been like a reoccurring on a television series that wasn't a soap opera. So I've never had that experience. I'd like to. But I also would think I would want to go on something that is like, hey, so we have this idea for our show and it's, we have it and it's going to be 4 seasons, like Breaking Bad. Like, how they were like, okay, we're going in with the intention of saying this is how long we're going to last, end of story. I like that. Instead of just having this like kind of cloud over your head going, am I ever going to get out of this? Or am I going to be the asshole actor who leaves and then all the fans are pissed off at you and you're like, but I want to do more.
And you can understand because you see a lot of TV shows nowadays generally only go the 4 the 5 set, with a few exceptions like The Walking Dead and stuff like that. But back in the day, like when you were probably doing Days of Our Lives and you look at things like Friends, 10 seasons, you look at all the different TV shows back then that were at least 10 seasons. It must be difficult for the people on those because you have to play the same character for 10 years. And a lot of people are not forbidden, but restricted to what else they can do outside of that. So,
well, and then there's like the whole thing where it's like, if you're on a series, at least in LA, you're normally, if it's a regular network series, not Netflix or anything like that, but a regular network series, you're filming from about August until May the next year, and then you have those 2 or 3 months off. But like then you have to decide, okay, so do I use this 2-3 months, 4 months, however long, to do a couple films? Do I try to get that in? Or if you have a family, do you say, I'm going to take this time off and spend it with my family? Because I don't get to do that because I'm working 16 hours, 15 hours on set every day, and I don't get to come home some nights and tuck the kids in or whatever. So I think it's difficult for people who are not stuck, but like on long lasting shows.
And look, maybe they just think, look, I'm going to do this for 5, 6, 7 years and then I'm going to take a break for a year or something and spend that with my family. Or I guess they sort of build up that network TV money and then be able to take some time off for the family. It's all about me personally, I couldn't do that. Like to me, family is, I couldn't go that long without seeing my family. I don't have kids. It'd be a big call. It'd be a tough decision.
I definitely have like big respect for like the Ellen Pompeos and Mariska Hargitay's of the world who have been on a network television series for like 20 years, and you're like, I don't know how you're doing this, but kudos.
But SVU, Mariska Hargitay's been on that. That's there. I'm a massive Law and Order fan, so they're on season 23 at the moment. So when I was bored one year, I don't know when it was, early 20s. I was bored and they had put all of SVU on Netflix, so I have gone back from the start and watched all of it. Oh wow. Like
a psychopath. But wow, it looks a whole lot different from season 1, episode 1. That pilot was a train wreck.
Well, yeah, I'm actually, funny you say that. I just bought all 23 seasons on iTunes. Over here we have it. It's not on any of our streaming services, unfortunately, in Australia, but I've been building up my collection when they've been on special, and I have all of them. So about 2 episodes from the end of season 1 at the moment. I'm a massive Christopher
rough.
fan, so I just like Elliot Stabler is my jam. So I'm looking forward to doing and I'm watching the current season as it comes out over here too. It's crazy, but yeah. So if you ever you have to reach out if you ever get an episode on SVU, because I'll be like,
I will.
I know that person.
I've auditioned for it a few times, but it's in New York, and it's so it's completely different. But there's been a couple times where like, especially when I was younger, they couldn't find the correct like child actors to play something, so they'd come out to LA. But one day
I'll be watching. And so I've spoken to Jillian. I know Jillian. One other question I have, just while we're still on the child acting thing. I don't know if you've been asked this before, but how did you feel watching yourself? So going back and seeing yourself when you were a child, seeing what you'd been in, was it surreal? Did you get excited? Were you just like,
I don't know. I don't know that I really watched anything. My mom would record the like Days of Our Lives episodes on the VHS tapes, because that's how old I am.
Yeah.
So I have all those, and I've watched them as an adult. I think maybe the only thing that I probably watched that I was in was like commercials, because they'd be on television, right? When I'm just watching regular television, I'd see myself and be like, oh, whatever. And then there was it's Spider-Man. I saw Spider-Man in theaters a couple times, but that was so short, and I didn't, my lines were cut. It wasn't like watching yourself really. It was just like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
In fact, my acting teacher, when we all went to go see that, and he like stood up in the middle of the theater and screamed, I know her. We were just like, oh God. But yeah, I think probably the only thing I watched of myself was this movie called Quigley, that was the most bizarre movie, starring Gary Busey as my uncle.
Oh, wow.
And Christopher Adkins was my dad in it. And he gets my uncle gets into a motorcycle crash and is taken to heaven, where Oz Perkins, Anthony Perkins' son, is an angel, and they send him back to Earth as a Pomeranian. And the Pomeranian then comes to be reunited with his family and saves me from getting run over by a truck. So I think
movie called again. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's called Quigley. It is a very interesting movie.
Okay.
But I think that's probably the only thing I really watched, just because it was technically kid friendly. It wasn't crazy. Wasn't anything wild or crazy going on. So I think it was probably it. I don't know. As an adult, it's easy for me to watch the kid stuff, and it's harder for me to watch the adult stuff.
No, I get it totally. That was just a random question that popped into my head, and I thought, if I don't ask it now, I'm never going to get to ask it. So there you go.
And there's another question that Ryan wanted to ask, and it's about when you worked on Castle, because I'm a huge Castle fan. I'm watching it the second time through now. But we're both Nathan Fillion tragic, so we want to know what it was like to work with Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah, Nathan's great. He's a great guy. They dyed my hair black for that, and I remember like sitting in the hair trailer, and I had the dye in my hair, and it was just ruminating. And Nathan walked in, and he introduced himself to me like who doesn't know who you are, sir? But he walked in and said, hey, I'm Nathan, welcome to the show. And I was like, oh, well, this is nice. Hello. And yeah, no, he was great. I do have a funny story from Castle, because I was wearing a lip ring that they put in.
Yeah.
So I had like the nose ring and the lip ring and the eye ring, whatever. And I think it was like that last scene of that episode right before they all sang Piano Man. And we were filming that scene, and take one, and we were doing it out of order, so this was my first scene on set.
Okay.
take one, the lip ring with my first line flies off and hits Nathan directly in the face. And I was just like, solid. That's and I'm like 17 and I'm just like, cool. Yeah, that makes sense for me. That really does. That fits my storyline there. But he laughed it off. But he's great. Yeah, he came to this interactive horror show that I was in a few years ago called Delusion, and I got to scare the shit out of him, which was really fun. And he's a really, 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 really cool guy, really nice guy, very welcoming. So it was a great set.
He's one of my favorite actors of all time. He's not in enough.
He's not.
I'm a Firefly tragic.
Oh yeah, Firefly's great.
Yeah, and then being able to see him in Castle, and obviously, he's currently doing a role with Alan Tudyk in Resident Alien, which I'm digging as well. He plays an octopus, which is awesome. And pretty much everything. I watched James Gunn Slither the other night for the first time, and he plays the hero in that, and I'd never seen it before, and that was amazing. So thank you for answering the question. I love him to death.
Yeah, I've always said it's a tragedy that we didn't get a Nathan Fillion Beauty and the Beast with him as Gaston, because he is the perfect Gaston.
Oh, wow.
And it makes me so angry that this has never happened. Like, I just need to see it because he can sing too. Like, I want to see that. Yeah.
I did not know that. I know what I'm going to be Googling when this is over.
100%. Go Google that.
Because we just watched his short of Uncharted. We're still like, no, he should be Nathan. I love Tom Holland, but Nathan should be Nathan.
Yeah.
I hear when I played the games, I see and hear Nathan Fillion in that. So I kind of always assumed if there was ever a movie, he would play it. But I think they said he was a bit too old, which is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching an interview that I think Mark Wahlberg was having, and I think he was originally supposed to be Nathan Drake, and then he aged out of it, and so then they made him the older brother, and they hired Tom.
Yeah, look, and there's nothing wrong. Tom Holland, amazing actor as well. So I still haven't had a chance to see it yet because pandemic and stuff. But I plan on hopefully I can go and see that and the Batman in a double feature soon. So.
There you go.
I can't see anything because the movie theater is blocked by floodwaters.
I thought you were going to say it was blocked by spiders. So honestly,
don't say that. Now I'm never going to the movies again ever.
The only time I'm afraid of spiders is when they're in my car and I don't know where they are.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. Absolutely not.
No, my housemate teases me and she's like, "Oh yeah, I've got two that are my friends in the house," and I'm like, dude, why? I hate spiders. She wants to get one she wants to get a pet tarantula. And I was like, no.
That's a big veto. Absolutely
like,
not.
If it gets out? Oh, it won't. Oh yeah, that. And have you seen Home Alone? Have you seen
I was just gonna say, Home Alone. Come on.
It will
that mofo gets out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm gonna let Jamie ask the next question because I do apologize. I have been doing a lot of talking.
No, that's been pretty good. Look, Ryan's a wrestling tragic. Like, he loves wrestling. We had this guy from Chicago on. It hasn't been released yet. We interviewed him, and he's mortician training to be a professional wrestler. And I just sat in the corner quietly, and Ryan was just like.
I don't have any friends that like wrestling, so he's now my friend. So I talk to him on Facebook and we compare notes. But speaking of wrestling, in Spider-Man, did you get to meet the Macho Man Randy Savage, aka Bonesaw?
Bones? I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Do you know at this you might not have seen it for a while, but when Peter Parker or Tobey Maguire was first starting out, he went to the wrestling show to wrestle that guy in the cage to make
no, I didn't see any of that. A film like that, it takes 6 months to shoot, and the build outs are completely different. Just our stage was massive, and I wasn't even in half of those scenes at the end there, and I was filming for like 2.5 weeks, so it's not It's a very long, drawn out process.
My new friend Wade that we spoke to would kill me if I didn't ask that question. So,
all right. Over your acting career, is there a memorable role that stands out for you? Something that you've absolutely loved doing?
That's a good question. I mean, they're all so different, and they all bring, their own personalities, I guess.
Yeah.
I have multiple personalities, guys. What can I say? But I started and I produced a film a couple years ago called Pretty Broken that one was, I think, my favorite role. It's my first time like top lining a movie, and it was also the first role that I really got to like dive into deeper things, because the other things that I've done, I've done horror, I've done a lot of comedy, I've done a lot of, indie films that are more leaning towards comedy than like actual real drama. And while Pretty Broken is a very, very, very dark comedy, it's for my character, it was based in real sadness. So that was nice. It was a good way to explore it, and the crew are all friends, so it was fun, and most of the cast was friends, and we filmed up in my hometown of Portland, and it was a really cool experience to be able to do that and also be producer on it and like be behind the scenes. And I ended up doing the wardrobe too, because why not? Two jobs isn't enough.
Where can we see
it's
that?
An indie film.
Is that out at the moment on streaming service?
Yeah, it came out in 2019. We premiered at the Newport Beach Film Festival, and then we did a couple of other festivals, and came out in 2019.
Excellent. I have to track that one down as well.
Yeah.
And to pivot off, because you just said one of my favorite words, you said horror. Horror stuff. Now I'm if I'm a wrestling tragic, I'm a horror tragic more, because I absolutely love my horror. I try and see as much as I can. So what have you been in horror wise?
Well, my first experience was Alien Abduction.
Okay.
And that was filmed out in North Carolina, and it was based on the Brown Mountain Lights. And that was pretty wild. We spent a month and a half out in North Carolina. I was like 19. It was like my first time like living alone. So it was pretty cool. And that got, I don't know, that came out probably 7 years ago, because I think it was in post-production for like 2 years. But it was a really cool horror film. It was like a found footage thing.
Oh, that's my favorite genre of horror.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah, it's found footage. It was released by IFC Midnight, so it's out there somewhere. I'm sure it's on like Amazon or something. But that was like my first foray into it, and then I did a short film that never got released called Cora, where I played a young teenager who got bit by a vampire but didn't like fully turn, and then I killed the vampire at the end. And then I did a lot of, in my like mid-20s, I did a lot of interactive horror shows out here. So there's this show called Delusion, where it's like you as the audience member come into a horror house essentially, but it's like a full film. There's 3 acts. You go through the whole thing. The whole thing takes about 50 minutes. And you interact with the characters. Like, you have to help us solve the situation. So I did that for a couple of years, and it was fun. I love horror. I would do another horror film instantly, because I think they're the best and they're so fun. The only problem is the blood that gets stuck in your hair, because that's not fun.
Those interactive. I watched a movie the other day on an interactive horror experience. I think called Horror Hotel or something like that. And it's a shame we don't have anything like that out here.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'd be there pretty much every week. I love it, but they sound so. I've read about them over in the States. They sound so interesting. And did you have a lot of fun working in that experience?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. The leads are double cast because you have probably about 25 shows going through a night. And each lead character has about a 20-minute round. So when I'm almost at the end of my round, then the next one is already starting and they've had to reset everything. And so it's a lot. Especially both times that I did that show, I had stunts in it. So I was in a harness all night, which is kind of painful.
Wow.
And then to be like pulled through a wall like 12 times a night, not the most fun thing in the world. And then having to rebuild that wall so that you could do it again.
Wow.
So I think like physically it's very it takes a lot out of you, but it's a lot of fun because you're doing all this crazy stuff and all the audience reactions are always different and you're always changing things because there's always going to be something different with every single audience member. So it's that's what's kind of cool. It keeps you on your feet, keeps your improv really, really good, really quick.
You have to be, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. If I ever get over the States, I'm definitely want to go to at least 400 of them. So yeah.
I mean, we have so many interactive events out in Los Angeles now. I mean, I'm constantly going to ones. Like there was recently a vampire lounge that like opened up where it's like vampires are just like hanging out with you and then they like perform this like musical. So there's constantly stuff going on right now. There's a new one opening I think this weekend called like Night Fever and it's like a disco and it's wild.
My jam. Excellent. I'll have to keep that in mind if and when I come out there.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll let Jamie do some more talking now because he's sitting there.
All right. Well, anytime we have a filmmaker or a writer or a director on, and this is the second time, but I can still say whenever. If Disney came up to you and just gave you all the money and said, make us a movie, what would you make and who would you put in it?
Oh my God, what a question.
And you are allowed to say you would put you in it because
I'd obviously have to be in it. But like if we're talking Disney, is this animated or live action or anything?
Whatever you want.
Disney's
son of a gun.
Go, here's a blank check. Make it.
Okay, well, I mean, to fulfill the childhood dream, I think I would have to do an animated movie.
Yep.
That I starred in with songs written by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, of course.
Because you have to at this point. And gosh, who would I get to be in it with me?
Nathan Fillion, because I want to hear him sing.
There you go. I'll get Nathan Fillion can be in it. And then I'm on a big Andrew Garfield kick right now.
Oh, how good is he?
Yeah, I think I'd have to get him in that somehow. He can sing too. So there we go. We've got a good little cast building up. Maybe get like Jennifer Hudson in there because girl can sing.
From the cast members you've mentioned, I'm happy to give you a couple of grand just to have a tiny little role just so I can meet them.
Yeah.
I've done voice acting before, so I'm up for it.
There we go. I don't know what it would be about, but I think I would definitely have to do like some sort of animated movie with songs from Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh,
like that would be the dream for sure. I'm a big Lin head, so.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time I watched Hamilton. And then I'd recognize him from certain things that I'd seen him before. Like I was watching Modern Family with my housemate, and he's in a couple of episodes of that. But Hamilton, I didn't know much about it, and Jamie put me onto it. I watched it twice in a row.
Yeah.
It was that amazing.
I remember I was in New York the year that they won the Tony for Best Musical, and at that point they hadn't started the tour or anything, and it hadn't come to LA, so it was very much so still just a Broadway show. It hadn't hit that like sensationalism yet. And when they won the Tony, I was at like a Tony party and I was just like, maybe I need to listen to this. I don't know, like, And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, son of a gun, he did it again. God damn it. Okay. Because obviously there was shows before that he had done that were fantastic. But yeah, he's great. I would love to work with him. And he just seems like the nicest person in the whole damn world too, which just makes it even better, where you're just like, I just want to give you a hug. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Jamie, didn't you have a story about him with Andrew Garfield about that Tick Tick Boom movie?
Oh, well, she's probably heard it. Like, you heard how I saw an interview with Andrew Garfield talking about how they shared the same masseuse or something.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually went to so for the SAG Awards that we're invited to like different sort of events and whatnot to watch the films and hear from the actors and that kind of stuff before you vote. So I went to a Tick Tick Boom screening a couple weeks ago, and Andrew was there with one of the producers, Julie O, and they were talking all about it. So yeah, he was telling us about how it was the masseuse, and the masseuse was like, yeah, I think he can sing. And then he was like, you need to learn to sing right now. And he was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, well, actually, I actually have a story about Andrew Garfield now. He filmed Hacksaw Ridge, basically where I live.
No way.
And it's funny because they filmed it in the church that my sister got married in.
Oh my God.
And they were saying that we got this email and the ministers oh, we got this email saying that some filmmakers want to come and look at the church. And in his head, he's like, oh, some independent college kids from down the road. And he walks into the church and there's Mel Gibson sitting in the front row. And he's like, you're Mel Gibson. He's just like, yeah. And then
he's like, yeah, I am.
And then
thank you.
Mel Gibson is dropping F-bombs left, right, and says, this is effing beautiful. Oh, it's effing, because that's who Mel Gibson is.
Yeah.
And he's like, and the minister's like, why didn't you choose this church or that church? Because they're effing terrible. And
good God.
It's funny, yeah. So I got to watch my the suburb over from me pretty much get transformed into the 1940s, and it was just amazing to see.
That's so cool.
Oh, it definitely was. Look, so what are you currently working on now, Jillian? What have you got in the pipeline that you can talk about? Promote it. Give yourself a plug.
What can I talk about? I'm trying to think about.
That's very look, first, folks. You can't talk about anything.
Well, I have a film that we've been trying to get off the ground for a while now, but it's taking a bit because it's an ensemble cast all in like one location, and we have to build out a stage for it. But with COVID stuff, it's like you can't, if one actor gets COVID, then the whole thing shuts down because we can't shoot without everyone in that location. So we've been, we want to get it off the ground, but it's like you're taking a huge chance essentially. So we're waiting on that to try to see when we can do it. And then I have my own podcast that I do every week where I have actors on the show and they tell me their awful audition stories, which is fantastic to hear. And then I'm working on some voiceover stuff right now that I don't know that I can talk about, and just writing, auditioning, and doing the grind essentially.
So tell us about your podcast a bit, and like, because I know I've listened to a few episodes and they're gripping. I just, everyone you've got on is just, I not necessarily heard of them, but I still want to listen to everything they say. And so just on that, what's one of your favorite bad audition stories that someone's told you?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's been some fantastic ones, some truly, truly great ones. There was this woman on, maybe a year and a half ago. Her name was Lisa DeRue. And she was telling me about this audition where she had to like do a high kick.
Oh, wow.
And she was like dancing and blah, blah, blah. And she went to do like the high kick and like nearly knocked the casting director out, like in the face, like was so close to like hitting the casting director in the face. And she just essentially died. And it was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. The casting director was like, wow, what just happened? Like, you were so close to me. So there's that. Who else? I mean, I've talked a lot of my friends onto being on the show, thank God. But I've had some really cool people. I just had this guy on the show this week, William Stanford Davis. He plays Mr. Johnson on Abbott Elementary, which I don't know. Do you guys get Abbott Elementary out there yet?
No.
So it's a new ABC sitcom, kind of in the vein of like The Office or Parks and Rec, but it's about an elementary school in like an underprivileged area. And it's really funny. It's really good. And he was on the show this week, and he was telling me about this time that he went into an audition and he like thought he turned his phone off, but it was like back in the days, it was before iPhones. It was like, you know, it was like a flip phone where you had to like push the button, hold it down, and do the whole thing. And he thought he turned it off, and it apparently didn't, because then halfway through the audition it starts ringing. So he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he like takes it out and he like pushes a different button, and he's halfway through the audition again, and then it starts buzzing, and he's just like, oh god, I didn't turn it off, I put it on buzz. Fantastic. And then they had said like, you can start again. He was like, no, I'm gonna see myself out now. And he like left. And then he gets to his like second audition of the day or wherever the heck he was going, and realizes that he has left his bag in that casting office and his glasses, and therefore has to return to that studio only to find that it's closed.
Oh no.
And he's talking to the security guard like, that's my bag. I just like, you get somebody from the office. The only person left is the executive, who he just like failed in front of, and the executive just hands him his bag, and he's so like, it's not your day, huh? I'm just like, oh god, if like an executive at a network said it's just not your day to me, I think I would be crawling into a hole for a few weeks for sure.
So you got the part, right?
I thought that
the part. No, I'm joking.
Did not get the part. But yeah, we have like some really cool people on, and they share, you know, sometimes they're really sad ones, sometimes they're really funny, but it's cool just to hear it, because it's part of the industry that we like glide over a lot.
Yeah.
But for most actors, it is our like full-time job is essentially auditioning, and we don't get paid for it. So we're just, you know, putting in all this time, all this effort, and getting told no, and considering and still doing it, which is crazy in itself that we do that, but we do.
In talking about auditions, I hope you don't mind me asking, during COVID, was a lot of, and I only ask because I have no idea about it, was a lot of the auditioning via things like Zoom or things like that, or were you still going to in-person auditions?
No, I mean, we still haven't really gotten back to in person. There's some casting offices that are doing it, but most are still doing it online. We had been doing self-tapes already for, you know, 15 years. And so that was pretty normal. It was the fact that everything switched to a self-tape, and if it wasn't a self-tape, then it was like a Zoom if it's a callback or whatever. It makes the process so much worse, in my opinion, though, because you're not in the room with somebody. You can't get a redirect, you can't ask questions, you know, like I'm definitely a person who I spend a lot of time prepping, and I will ask questions. And like most casting directors, when you go in, they'll say, do you have any questions? And it's like, yeah, I do, please tell me this. Or even if it's just like a spelling thing, like how you pronounce something, like it all helps to, you know, enhance your performance. And so I think it's the self-tape thing really has hurt a lot of us. And I was talking to a casting director recently, and they were saying that they've actually seen that a lot of the energy has like left, because you're at home, you're doing the thing, you're comfortable, there's no nerves, you know, you can do it 1,000 times, you know that like you can just keep doing it, you find whatever you think is perfect for it and send it in. And she's like, but when you're in the room, you have that sense of like, I get my one shot, let's do my best, let's get in there. You have the nerves, and those nerves are good because you emotionally and mentally kind of get into that headspace of like, let's do this, you know. But I think just having like, let me just put up my green screen again, and let me set up my lights and blah blah blah, I think it's taken away from the process. So I hope we all get back in person soon.
Yeah, 100%. And I find, obviously, this is my first foray into interviewing since we started this series during COVID. And I still get nervous. And I've been on stage, you know, in front of hundreds of people before, and I still get nervous. I got nervous. I had to have Jamie prep me up last night. I'm like, dude, I am absolutely crapping my pants. And Jamie's like, it's all good. We've done this before, you know, it's all good, you know. But I find that makes it better. It makes it, you know, it gives you
need the nerves.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I can imagine it would have made situation worse with auditioning, not
Yeah.
having that in person. Oh, like you
Well,
said, one shot.
it's that, and also, because they know that we're at home and we can do it, there's definitely been an increase of pages. So
Yeah.
what would normally be like a 6-page audition, if you're in the room, because it actually means that they have to listen to me for 6 pages, they give me 15 pages
Ugh.
because they know that halfway through they can turn it off if they want to.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I get to put in twice as much work for you to not maybe even watch the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that sucks too. And there's been a lot of complaints from actors about that, of just like the amount of pages that we're getting now it's getting a little crazy, because there's no like guidelines, there's no rules within the union of like how many pages you can actually make an actor prepare or film or whatever. So I think that stuff probably needs to have a nice little rehaul.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll sort of start moving out of this situation we're in. I mean, COVID's not going anywhere, but hopefully we can adapt and get back to that face-to-face kind of
Yeah.
thing, and to make it easier, not easier, but to make it feel more worthwhile for you guys, and to get that, because it's emotion, like as I said with the nerves. For me, I thrive off that emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure it's the same with you guys, like yourself. It's hopefully we'll get back to that stage soon.
Yeah, and it's also like you need to be able to read each other's energy too, and you cannot do that over Zoom, especially when you're like in like an emotional scene. If you're doing like a chemistry read with somebody, it's like what chemistry? Like this is like a person in a screen right now. I might as well be talking to myself. Like this doesn't really do anything.
Exactly. No, I agree. 100%. Thank you for that.
Most important question before we wrap it up. Please tell me all about Disneyland, because I've never been and I want to go.
Oh no, you have to go. I mean, I go all the time. I have a SoCal pass. So me and my best friend go a lot. It's the best. I love Disneyland. I've gone too many times to count, truly.
Rub it in.
It's just
rub it in.
It's just so fun. And Star Wars Land now is up, and that is really cool. I don't know if you guys have watched like the videos of Rise of the Resistance, the ride there. And it's just it's the one of the coolest. I think it's the best dark room ride to ever exist, because you think you're on a ride and then they're like, nope, this isn't it, you're going somewhere else. And then you're like, wait, what, a second? And then you're in a room with all the guys, like the troopers, and you're like, excuse me, what's happening? And they're making you get on ships, and then all of a sudden somebody from the Resistance come and like breaks you out of this room that Kylo Ren was holding you in, and it's like an immersive experience. And then you get on a ride that doesn't even have any tracks, and you're like, what the hell, where am I going? And then it like goes up and it goes down, it does all these things, and then you eventually like get onto this like track where it then becomes one of those rides like The Simpsons or whatever, where it like moves and goes up, but like it's not actually moving around, it's just like on a base that's moving. And then you like crash land back to the thing. It's just, that ride is insane. But I don't know, what do you want to know about Disneyland, man? Like, are there specific questions you have about this?
Not really. Just because I've only seen the iconic things of, it's always Mickey Mouse and Pluto. Who were some of the costume people? Because we always see Mickey, we always see Minnie, but is there obscure dressing up people?
Sometimes you see obscure ones. I mean, yesterday, did I go yesterday? No, I went the day before yesterday. The only ones I really saw, I'm sorry. The only ones I saw then were like Chip and Dale, and every once in a while you see like the fairy godmother. You see a lot of the villains. They usually hang out in like Fantasyland, and then in Toontown, and then like Main Street. You don't really normally see them walking around like Indiana Jones, Jungle Cruise, all that kind of stuff, the Haunted Mansion. There's really no characters over there.
You've never seen any go rogue, like run off into areas they're not allowed to?
I haven't. But yeah, I mean, and then there's usually like, they usually hang out like at the main street of California Adventure as well. And that's also where there's the Avengers land now at California Adventure. So there's always they always have like a Loki and a Captain America and a Black Widow, and they're always doing stuff. Iron Man, that's like constant.
Well, the only sort of thing similar we have out here is we have in a place called Queensland, which is currently underwater. We have a place called Warner Brothers Movie World. So it's the Warner Brothers side of thing. I went when I was little. They had similar to the Star Wars ride. They had I'm a massive Batman fan, so they had a Batman ride where you went into Wayne Manor and you get taken through the bookcase, and you meet Batman and he starts talking, and then all of a sudden, the Penguin launches an attack, so you get hustled away and get into the. It sounds like the Star Wars ride. You're not actually on a ride for like the first 15 or 20 minutes of the actual experience. But look, we have nothing out here. We got a couple of water parks.
So funny. I wonder why like Disneyland hasn't put one in Australia.
Spiders are too big, I guess. That's probably why. But no, we have like they bring over the water parks. Like we have Wet and Wild or whatever they call, but that's about it really. We have a lot of zoos because we have it.
But like, isn't there like enough water? Like, do you need water parks?
Oh no, that's like we need Australia to flood every so often so that we can supply the waters to the water park.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
That's how
now it's making sense. It's making sense. Thank you. Thank you, climate change.
Do you have any questions about Australia you'd like us to answer?
I don't know, man. It just sounds like y'all have some issues right now. You're flooding. There's spiders everywhere.
People.
I have some friends from Australia. I haven't seen them in a while, obviously. But I have some friends from Australia. So I think at some point I will go out there to at least see them and see what it's like.
You'll be fine. Just stay in the city. No spiders in the city.
Don't go to Queensland. That's where all the crocodiles are.
Although I really want to see like the kangaroos just like chilling. And
you can go anywhere now. We've got a zoo in Sydney called Sydney Zoo. And
but like I want to see like the wild kangaroos just like out there living their lives.
There's one that comes up to my back door every couple of months.
No way.
Yeah. Well, I'm literally surrounded by national parks, so I get the kookaburras, the snakes, the kangaroos, occasionally a koala.
Oh my god.
They have.
Have you seen those like koalas like who like pull each other out of the trees and like scream at each other? Does that happen?
I have seen screaming koalas. Yeah. Really, really funny stuff because my brother-in-law used to live up the coast, like way north of Sydney, and he once heard this screaming like this, like screaming, and he walked outside and it was just this koala bear in the middle of the street just going.
Yeah, they just it's like I relate to a koala because they like sit there, they don't know what to do, so they just scream into the void and they're like, I don't know, can somebody help me? It's just so funny.
It's all
to me that they literally just sit there and scream. I mean, I'm the same though. Like I need sleep and I need food, so maybe I should be a koala in my next life.
Well, look, to be honest, and the stuff that you hear, like I used to work for a transport company. So I used to organize, interstate transport from, shipping goods and services. We were in an area called Marsden Park, and that is just currently, it used to be all bushland, but it's currently being built up. We've had kangaroos literally hop through our warehouse. we have to shoo them out. Some of them are that big. We had one called Big Red who actually took a swipe at one of the truck drivers.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, does this ever happen? Because I fully like Kangaroo Jack when I was like a teenager was just one of the best films in my opinion, and just the fact that kangaroo just kept on like donkey kicking him. Yeah. I mean, does that happen?
It depends on the kangaroo because we've got the grey kangaroos; they're real docile.
Okay,
but the reds are insane. My uncle was telling me a story that two dogs ran down to a lake where a big giant red kangaroo was sitting, and barked at it. One dog launched at it, and the kangaroo caught it and put it underwater and drowned it.
No.
And, like that. So
again, great.
Stay away from the reds.
Australia.
I feel like they're like part human. I mean, honestly, the fact that they can like punch somebody out like a human.
Yep.
Or drown it, like they're interesting creatures. I really want to be around them because I feel like they are out of this world.
Our truck driver literally just said, "Hey, I'm going to go over and pat the kangaroo." Went over to a red kangaroo and went to pat him, and the kangaroo just went bang.
He was like, "Absolutely not." I am
and-
not a
and
pet.
this big, massive, burly truck driver, tattoos and everything,
Yeah,
just
no.
comes running
That
back.
kangaroo was like,
And
no.
he's like, not happening.
I think I follow like a kangaroo sanctuary or something that is in Australia on Instagram, and there's this one like red kangaroo that they have, and he's like so jacked. Like he looks like he goes to like the gym. Like
Yeah.
it is so intense. I just can't imagine just like you're out walking your dog and you see a freaking red kangaroo and you're just like, oh shit. Like what do? Do you not move or do you run? Like what?
They tend to not come at you unless you come at them. So
Okay.
you just keep walking. It's only because the stories that I've heard and I've seen are only these people have tried to do something to the kangaroo. And the kangaroos that we had at our warehouse, as soon as you sort of just go, you don't go too close, you sort of just steer them off, they just hop away. So it's just if you get in their grill, they're gonna, throw down.
Yeah.
Okay, but like the gray ones, can I like
You can
can I pet the gray ones? Okay.
Most of the ones in the zoo, I probably wouldn't try doing it in the wild. But the ones in the zoo, they just laying out. You just give them a pat.
There is a place in Australia you can do it in the wild. That's because there's so many people and they're so used to everyone. Like there's a place outside Victoria called the Grampians. Beautiful mountains, beautiful bushwalks everywhere, and there's a subtle town right between all these ridges, and all the emus and kangaroos come down, and you can pet them and feed them. I, for one, can't stand emus; they freak me out.
Even though,
Emus are like assholes sometimes.
Yeah,
I went to like a wildlife park. I don't know where we were. I think we were in like Oklahoma or something. It was one of those things where it was like you drive through it.
Yep.
And yeah, the emus kept on trying to like mess with our car. Like they wanted to like peck the windows.
Yep.
But that I was also with like a bunch of like stunt guys. I was visiting a friend who was like working on a movie, and him and me and like all the stuntmen like went out to this park for some reason that day. I have no idea why. And so they thought it was like super funny to like roll down the window. So the camel's head was like literally next to my head and like trying to eat me. And they're like, oh, I'm like, you guys may like to try and kill yourselves all the time, but I don't.
no, look, we've got some pretty scary animals, but we've got some pretty awesome ones too. And you know what? You're only going to get the scary ones if you go looking for them, or you go to Jamie's house. So.
Do you guys have the quokkas there?
Yeah, we have quokkas. Yeah, they're native to an island. I can't remember the name of the island around near Australia, but we do have a lot of them over here too.
They're so cute. I just want to hug them.
Yeah, they just smile all the time.
I know. What if they're like super depressed, but they can't show it? Like, how sad.
Too much.
It's like,
they can't.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you guys are watching Severance or if you can have that over there. Do you have Apple TV
I've been wanting to watch it. Is it good?
It's great. And I was going to make a Severance joke, but I'm not going to now because you need to watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it today, actually.
You can always make it and we can come back and then edit in laughing.
Okay. No, it's just like they have this whole thing with like your innie and your outie, because the whole premise of the show is like that they sever your brain so your work self stays at work.
Yeah.
And you're out, and it's like your innie and outie. And I was like, oh, what if a quokka is like the people in Severance? And it's like they're trying to not be happy.
Well, they've been reading a lot of self-help books.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that show, and I'll understand exactly what you're saying, because it is on my list. It's on Apple TV, so
it's really good.
So I'll have to check it out.
All right, well, thanks for coming in, Jillian.
Yeah, I know this is probably a lot longer than we normally go, but we really appreciate that. So many questions, and we really appreciate you taking the time on your Friday afternoon to have a chat with us.
Yeah, so much fun. Thanks for having me, guys. And
listeners and viewers, make sure you check out Jillian's podcast. Thanks for coming in. It's on all the platforms, is it?
Yeah, anywhere you listen to them, it should be there, hopefully.